Barbara Brauer. Barbara is a freelance writer and editor living in San Geronimo, California, where she and her husband Lawrence operate Wordsworth Publishing Services. Brauer's work has been widely published in periodicals as well as anthologies. With portrait artist Jackie Kirk, she is co-author of the nonfiction book Witness, The Artist's Vision in the Face of AIDS. Of her book At Ease in the Borrowed World, poet Molly Fisk writes, haunted by loveliness and by ghosts, Barbara Brauer's collection At Ease in the Borrowed World maps out a new geography of belonging, not to place exactly or to family, but to a suspended world where everyone gathers, parents and children, women and men, characters from novels, from history, the dead. It's a sharply etched but comforting landscape where reader and writer are both allowed temporary reign, where we climb to the top of it and see farther, and then place the sleeping residents back in their beds and fold the quick dark around them. Please help me welcome Barbara Brauer.
I want to thank you, Gillian, and all of you for this wonderful opportunity. I've been looking forward to this reading for quite a while. A number of months ago, Gillian told me about the anthology that had been published, More Than Soil, More Than Sky. And I just enjoyed the anthology so much. I love the format with the photos and the poet statement in addition to the poems themselves, of course. But what really struck me is how many of the poems have to do with the landscapes, the environment itself. I identified very much with that as I'm a writer of place. And in my book I have a great many landscapes, some literal, some figurative, most from the San Geronimo Valley. It's in West Marin. As a matter of fact, Jerry's a neighbor of ours. A community of about 4,300 people, 4 villages, surrounded by beautiful ridges, which are a constant delight to me. The first poem is in this collection is Storyline. Late afternoon, the yard is backlit. November sun skirts the fence, falls on the neighbor's hedge. The foreground is in shadow. Someone is due, she thinks. Stage right out the front door, stage left through the gate. Her son tells her there are only 2 storylines. A stranger comes to town, a man goes on a journey. Each of us has her own version, a single story told in infinite voices. Today she waits. Another day, she will rise from this chair, walk out the gate to the road, and, best shoes or not, start walking. I'm sure the writers among you will identify with the problem of finally you've carved out a few hours that you can sit down and really dig into your writing, and you're all set, and then what do you write about? So you're looking around for inspiration. I borrowed a few lines from Billy Collins's poem Monday, and they're the epigraph to this poem. The birds are in their trees, the toast is in the toaster, and the poets are at their windows. So this poem is called At Her Window. It is Monday, Billy Collins, and I am here watching Jessica, age 7, stand at my fence, reaching for miniature plums through the wire. A jay screams from the roof and drops onto the juniper, pins an acorn against the branch and hammers it open. The fog lightens. Sunshine spreads in patches, illuminating the boxes left halfway to the recycling, the red wheelbarrow, on which nothing depends, and eventually finds a flower to warm. I am here at the window, and the world is in motion, such as it is in this fragment of civilization. I hear the cars on the highway, all manner of people going other places. And I am at the window, observing the shed roof and shade, the azaleas proffering their dead stalks like beggars their cups. John rolls the garbage down to the curb, berry pickers stand on the wall, and I think of the pie I won't make, then of Judy and my Aunt Elise, the pie bakers of my life, of blueberries in New Hampshire, my grandfather and others who gathered after dinner for singing until night blackened the lake. I start for the page, in an instant awash in purple and melody, my coffee cold on the sill. Of course, in taking writing classes and sharing work, there are a number of do's and don'ts about writing, and one of the maxims is to write what you know, but of course every rule is meant to be broken. So this is writing lesson. How light shines through the float of a jellyfish she can only imagine, or the texture of a starfish. How kelp sways to the rhythm of the tide in the warm blue shallows. Write what you know. So she writes catalogs of failure, of closed doors, angry dinners, and dishes shattered on the floor, empty bottles in hallways, of the old woman too tired to rouse, too broken to bring out to the garden, bedpans and heating pads. Today, her story begins in a cold kitchen. The young woman opens the oven door and in the spreading warmth closes her eyes and steps into the small waves on the ocean's edge. The sun on her pale face and only the sound of the surf calling her name. I have a friend who I consider to be ambidextrous because she writes both poetry and novels. I think that's just amazing. And I can't think of novels without thinking of the great American novel that I think has been written over and over to good for the greater good. So this is New World. She is working on the great American, one paragraph, one page at a time. Listen, and you'll hear in that sure voice flashes of wail, an easy float down the snag-cragged river, a rendezvous with a dark lover in Salem's forest. As she reads, the new world rises green-timbered and ready for occupancy. Broad plains ripen through every window and promise, keen as an axe blade, gleams from every compass point. We listen, and we are far from here, spellbound in the lamplight of a distant century. The day's large work at our backs, the raw fleece in our laps, our hands on the wheel spinning. As if wagon stopped and ready, we wait only for daybreak to light out. I have, for some reason, unbeknown to me, I seem to have a great affinity for the 19th century. So you can imagine how baffling the 20th century was, and I can't even deal with the 21st. But here I am, but writing very often about the 19th century. And so this poem is Already Gone. You are waiting for me in October light, the season's fallen leaves, dead stalks thick around your ankles, but I am already gone. Strolling green fields in another lifetime, I am welcoming lambs under the broad sun of an unclaimed prairie. Today, I am thinking of the railroad coming through and how I will hitch my fortune to the 735 out of Kankakee. I am not listening to you, but swimming in a wide lake beneath oak and beech, the water spring clear and cool. You are hot-faced as a pumpkin, calling me. At the end of the lake, a large hill rises to the sunset. I stroke faster. I tell you, I am not coming back. I work as a manuscript editor, aka ghostwriter, and it's a very involving sort of intimate relationship. It's hard not to appreciate the people with whom you work and get to know their stories, their families. So this poem is about that process. Ghostwriter. The old man is writing his memoir. I am in the paragraphs between decades, grasping at the details, moving slowly through the years of his childhood. I spell out the rooms and imagine my own long-ago apartments. Time folds over us both. As his mother is dead, so too is mine. I pass my hands quickly over their soft dresses as I take them up from the floor and hang them in the bedroom closet. An afternoon sun brightens, fades on the carpet. In the front hall, footsteps. From a long distance, he greets her at the door. The problem with memoir for many people is that while you're writing about your life, you're also writing about the people that you know and your family and so on. And they may or may not be quite as taken with your writing the memoir as you think they should be. And as a matter of fact, there were 3 people, clients, who in the short space of time all told me about the disappointing responses of their relatives. So I couldn't resist. I wrote this poem. It's called That Memoir. Your daughter will throw out the 5 notebooks you spent these long years preparing, incinerating the last of them before calling at 6 a.m. to ask what the hell you were thinking. What could she tell the kids? Your sister will despise it, accuse you of ingratitude toward the parents who always treated her well. Your son will rise from the table with a shrug, tell you he'll visit next week. Well, let them. It's not written for them, but an answer to this lingering sense of not being fully arrived. Not for them, who know you by only one door when you have come through so many. And because the memories pile up like swatches on the quilting table or drift in like fragmented melodies from another room. In truth, it's for that small child asking to hear the story again from the beginning, this time told true, all the way to the end. A lot of times, poems just drop out of the stratosphere. You don't know why or wherefore, but if I'm lucky, I'm there with either a computer or a pen, and I just scoop them up as fast as they arrive. This one was somewhat like that. This is my mother and I rearrange the world. You first, I say, handing her the largest oceans. Reaching in past her elbow, she retrieves small whales and the wishbone of a sunken ship. Pull with me and make a wish. And I squeeze until the soft wood leaks seawater down my arm. Together we shift the priority of isthmus and strait, connect their jigsaw coastlines to form new routes around treacherous shoals, calm the wild waters of the Horn, delight to imagine the sailors safe in their ports. In forgotten hometowns, we take up the streets, pouring their contents onto the formica table between us. You next, she says, and I begin writing the wood frame houses, placing them square on their foundations, finger briefly through the household goods, place the sleeping residents back in their beds, and fold the quick dark around them. We work through the neighborhoods, arranging crosswalks and vegetable stands, pause to examine the small gathering places where children play until their names are called, and they are off home again. We take all the time creation needs, not interested in copyright or the small byline left by inventors. Only the chance to say, ah, that's right. The reward of saying, isn't that fine? In San Geronimo, as I say, it's a small community, very tight-knit and appreciative of the natural beauty around us, so that when the local water district wanted to lop off the top of a ridge and put in a huge water tank, the community mobilized against it. The sensible, practical people raised money for an environmental impact report and found alternatives and really went to work and did defeat it. But from the artist's point of view, we had something to say too. And a painter organized an exhibit of paintings and photography and mobilized poets and musicians. And this was what I contributed to the effort. Confluence. Make no mistake, this hill is not dispensable. What else to balance the gibbous moon, the westering sun, on a fiery February day? See how it slopes round with a purpose, ravines run lush with it, its roots of rock thrust deep. Where else do we come for small miracles? Two pines on a high ridge. Make no mistake, this meeting is the work of centuries, the uplift of plates and shifting surface, mountain and coastal plain, advent of poppy, oak, migration of grasses, lizard and mammal, confluence of light. And what you begin as a careless walk becomes an intersection of your life and all that greets you here. From the valley below drifts truck rev, door bang, car slam, dog bark, and hammer. Here, high among bushes, crow hop, flick of songbird, and the wide gaze of cows. And this oak, ablaze with silence in the still afternoon, saying everything. Walking up to the ridge is one of my favorite pastimes, along with my husband, and as I say, it's a lovely natural setting. And so when I heard that there was going to be an especially bright full moon one January, I thought, wow, how great to go up to the top of the ridge and look out over the valley and see it all laid out in the moonlight. Well, I'd underestimated how bright that moon really was, and so my plans were thwarted. Full moon walk. Even though you've climbed to the ridge for its vantage overlooking the valley, it is only you and the moon, nothing else. A new territory of light and lightlessness from which everything else recedes. Taurus and Gemini blanched from the sky. Even Orion retires, dogged heels. Only you in the spotlight, submerged in light, immersed as a swimmer. The trail beneath your feet, indistinct as a stream bed. You walk in tentative steps, ready for shift. Or as if you moved in pure snow, flapping your arms like an angel to animate the shadows. As if the rest of the world has melted away. As if it could last forever and no one waited below. The title poem of the book, At Ease in the Borrowed World, is also on that ridge, different time of day, different time of year. There's the end of October when the nights are longer and you're just beginning to perceive how the seasons are shifting. It's around the time of the Day of the Dead, and those warm, golden sort of afternoons. So this is At Ease in the Borrowed World. This is no solitary walk. They startle into view, enter by a jay screech, step out from the hunch of a boulder shadow. Of course the dead return these last fine days, when we stride most at ease in the borrowed world. Today, the autumn sky opens with an acorn's crack, and I set out for the ridge, leaning into the slope, the steady ache of muscle. Here, my father's stern patience in a hawk's pivot, my friend's voice threaded among the wind-shaped branches. They have come to warm themselves in the late-day sun and remind us of our promises. Ready to be taken in, the dead nestle in the nub of a rib, breathe with our breath, curl in our sleep, against winter's lengthening nights. And a final poem, returning to my front yard. It's amazing when your desk is just looking out your front yard for 28 years, you get a number of poems written about it. This is Changing Forecast. Look how the sun has emerged, despite expectations and the wringing of hands. A new warmth rises on the April wind. I am here again at the old crossroads, action at odds with intention, accomplishment sacrificed to the short-term pleasure of just being here. Is it so wrong to stop and reevaluate the day's agenda? If they will pay for the same work tomorrow, why hurry past this hour when it all begins to make sense? You and me, this unlikely house. Look, the weeds have turned into forget-me-nots, and we didn't kill the lemon after all. Come, sit beside me and listen. I swear you can hear the Bermuda grass growing, oak shadows deepening, this old planet spinning on a new axis. Thank you.